Welcome to the C3 Method Podcast with your host, Robert Plenick. I'm joined today with Meredith Wittman. Hello, Meredith.
Hello.
Yes. Now, for those who might not know, you're the co-owner of C3 Method, so you enjoy all this chaos with me. Yes.
I do.
And today you got to play CTO because you got to
Sure
help with
did.
the technology of our new camera and speaker. Yes.
Many hats.
Yes. But thank you for joining the podcast. Now, why we're going to have you today on the podcast is we talked about some of the struggles that the clients we work with face. And often people will pursue coaches, trainers, ChatGPT, Google for the what to do. The training program, nutrition program, supplements, they pursue those resources for the what. But
Mm.
where most people struggle is the how. How do they actually implement these things? So you and I wanted to make a podcast where we actually talked about that aspect, the how journey, the mindset, and the just the challenges and struggles that people will face trying to implement a healthy lifestyle with the chaos of everything else we balance in life.
When life is lifing.
Yes, when life is lifing.
Life is life.
So I wanted to ask you, I'm definitely going to prompt you along the way, but I wanted to ask to start out in your life. You've been through a lot and done a lot and accomplished a lot. If we look at fitness and health first, let's start there. What is your competition background? You know, you've done a few shows, correct?
I have. Now, when you say fitness background, is it only bodybuilding, CrossFit, or like my whole, like how active I've been my entire life? It's
Let's
very
do a
different.
quick both. Let's do like what's your activeness your whole life, and then what have been your competitions like in front of people where you had pressure and stress?
All the time.
Yes.
uh, so I started dance when I was a kid, right? So I was dancing, I think, to a music box in the kitchen in my diapers. And
Oh,
so my mom put me in dance class. And then I danced nearly when I was double digits every night of the week. I danced, and then I danced on weekends because of dance competitions. So I was always competitive from like 10 years old on because you compete, gotta win. And I danced all the way through college, even choreographing my final year. And then when you become an adult and enter the adult world, you don't have the same structure, routine, performance, competition structure. And I was trying to find things that made sense for me.
well,
And I was teaching at the time. So, what can I do for free?
yeah.
And I tried yoga. I did running. I look back now and I'm thinking, oh my God. But I ran half marathons, 17-mile Tough Mudders, marathon training. Then I did yoga, and then I started to just do things to move my body on the school track where I worked. And I was asked if I've ever done CrossFit. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
So I tried that out, was awesome at it,
Yep.
if I say.
Yeah, you can say so, yeah.
Um, just because I knew I was always strong, but that just evidenced that I was genetically oddly strong.
Yeah.
And I did that for a while, then I coached for a while and, did actually a partnership series with CrossFit HQ
Well,
and Greg Glassman, and that's on YouTube, Fit to Teach. And then I went through a one I was gonna say a really transitional time, but there's a lot of those.
yeah.
I went through one of them, and I couldn't really do CrossFit anymore. It just became too, emotional, if I'm honest, at the time. I didn't feel comfortable. It wasn't fun anymore,
Well,
and I realized I didn't like the way I looked. Even though I was doing all of these really fun, heavy things, I didn't look the way I wanted to. And so I decided to try something completely different and give myself a focus. And I started to train for a physique competition. So NPC Women's Physique. And then That was a lot of fun. I made it to nationals,
Yeah.
which was I didn't realize how unusual that was for your very first time competing,
Yes.
um, for your very first show to qualify for nationals, um, which is wild. And I'm trying to think after that, still like stayed lifting for a while. Fast forward through another transitional period, and I realized I hadn't trained like I wanted to for many years. And after meeting you, uh, it was 2024
Yes.
mid-year where I said, "I don't look the way I want to. I haven't trained like I really wanted to. I mean, COVID, all the things, and then this." I said, "You think I should maybe I could do a show in, like, 6 months?" Uh, which we did.
Yes, we
So,
did.
um, through those years, you helped recomp my body, so it went from a physique structure to a figure
Huh?
competitor structure, which is what I initially wanted to do, but I was too blocky.
Yeah.
Um, so then competed in figure and also made it to nationals that year.
Yes, which was awesome.
Yeah, and so now it's been, a year and change after that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's the gamut. I don't think I've missed anything, dabbled in the power lifts here and there,
Yeah,
but
you've done some
never.
heavy squats and deadlifts. You've deadlifted over 300 pounds. You were crushing it.
Yeah, yeah. I think my close to first bench was a double of 175,
Yeah, which is
and I
insane.
also didn't realize that was, like, heavy.
Yeah,
So,
it's so cool.
but never got into powerlifting as a competition. I
Mhm.
think it's unitard, which is
Yeah, it's, that and you also have really long femurs, so it's really hard to, do, like, squats specifically when people have really long femurs. Not that we couldn't do it, but it's hell of a
yeah,
challenge.
yeah, yeah, that'd
Yes.
be fun, but that's the background,
Yeah.
which
Well,
is
I
quite
like it.
varied.
I like it. You've done a
Mhm.
little bit of everything, which is awesome, and that's how you can relate to, all the different people we work with and talk to. So that's great
That's
to have that
true,
background.
and also throughout all of that was, trying nearly every diet I could have, um,
Yes. Yes.
style of eating and diet and, you know, nutrition style, so depending on how you classify it, I feel like I've also tried it all.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's for sure. Like so, you've done pretty much everything, nutrition, pretty much everything, physical fitness, exercise wise, which is
yeah,
really fun and exciting.
yeah.
Yeah. What style, if you had to think through, was there a specific style of training that felt the hardest or the most challenging to do?
Hmm, that's really hard because they're all so different, they're hard in their own way.
Mhm.
Um, I remember when I was doing CrossFit regularly, like, I was excited to get up at 4:30 in the morning and go do it. So, like, the getting up and getting motivated to do it wasn't as challenging as getting up and getting motivated to go running,
Oh, I see.
which
Mhm.
which is probably weird. Um, the Savasana part of yoga was the most challenging because I can't sit still,
Ah, yes.
so I never lay down for that. Um, I think if I really think about what made something challenging, I might have to say bodybuilding training because there's no, like, ego lifting,
Mm,
um, and so if I like to lift really heavy, challenge myself, do 1 more rep, like, overtrain, if I'm honest,
yeah.
then, you go to doing something that is extremely humbling for a lot of reps, and it's not fun.
Mhm.
There's a lot of days where it's not fun. The result is fun.
Yeah.
So I all of that thinking out loud to arrive at bodybuilding type training being the hardest because of my nature as a person.
Yeah, very you're used to driving yourself, pushing yourself to get the most out of yourself,
Mhm,
and when
mhm.
it came to where you were, especially when we were getting ready for figure, we
Mm,
couldn't train to what your body was fully capable of because that would have been overtraining. It would have been overkill for our goals.
mhm.
So, do you remember, or did you have anything in your mind that you would tell yourself, or how you kind of worked through this feeling of, I know what I want to do, but I now like understand, or I'm being told what's optimal. How did you keep yourself on point with what was optimal, or motivated to do what was optimal versus what you wanted to do?
I trusted my coach.
Oh, okay. Yay.
I just I did whatever was written every single day.
Yeah. What gave you the
And
trust in your coach? I know I was your coach for that part, but just out of curiosity, what gave you the trust in me?
ooh, um, I have seen well, probably the years of watching you predict what would happen to your clients for years, and you
Yes,
were
sir.
always right. If they didn't listen, you were right. If they listened, you were right. Um, and so there was that, and so I just I had to trust it. You also helped me get ready for my wedding dress, like,
That's
for our wedding day, and that was the first bout of help me feel better. It's like caution to the wind, it was 2020, like,
yeah.
"Sure, let's give it a shot," right?
Yep.
Um, so I had that experience, but I also just simply watched all of the things that you predicted, um, and the percentage of your clients that attain really high levels of success,
Mm,
which is abnormally high, so that also. And then lastly, even with that, because I feel like someone could see all those things, and depending on the type of person they are, it might not register with them.
mm,
So being that my background is has been rooted in science, my degrees, my work, being a scientific minded person, it's there's you want to maintain some controls, have a couple of variables, let's experiment and see what happens.
yeah.
Let's follow this and check in with the data and see what does the data tell you and then tweak it, continue. So I feel like if you're not a science-minded person or you don't think like that, it might be harder to trust. Um, so that wasn't really one thing. That was a lot of things.
Well, I think that's great because it shows, in a sense, you have to develop trust, and trust isn't something that's
I
it's
do
something
not
that
give trust.
develops. What's that?
I do not freely give trust. So
Yeah.
that's another thing.
Yeah, and
That's
that's
like,
something that, like, our clients would reasonably struggle with. Is you can look at a coach's background and say, yeah, they've done all these things for everyone else, but what about me? What about my body? Is my
yeah.
body broken? Is my body
Oh,
good enough?
not even that. I just don't trust people.
True. Yes. Yeah.
So that's the like everything as a skeptic,
Hmm.
it isn't healthy. I'm aware of that. I've been working on it. Um, but I don't trust
Yeah.
easily, which because of that, I the scientific part of me comes out more to say, let's just use this as an experiment and see what happens
Hmm.
versus I'm not jumping in and trusting. I'm experimenting and I'm going to see the results of that.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different way of framing it, but I think that is what kept me going when I maybe didn't necessarily trust a process.
Yeah.
Um, I just like to see things through also. So,
True. Yeah.
yeah. But I
Yeah.
interrupted you because you were talking about trust in a really good way, and
Oh
I
no, you're good. Yeah. Like, we're interviewing you. I was just adding
yeah.
living. So yes. But
Yeah.
But I think, like, you brought up a good point in what you just said there
Mhm.
is you trusted data. So
Yeah.
you didn't have to necessarily trust me. It's like, okay, well, if he said I do this and it results in X, are we getting X?
Mhm.
And then if it's like, oh, well, if we didn't get it, Did he explain why not? And then did that make sense? And did our adjustment get to X?
Yep.
So it's trusting the data, and then that helps over time. You see, oh, okay, this person said this and it happened. He said this and it happened. She said
Right.
this and it happened. And then that builds and builds and builds. So trust is something that does need to like build. You have to give it in a
Earn it.
sense of being open, but then you have to build it.
Yeah.
You know?
True.
Yeah. Yeah. I think about like in my journey, some of the things I've tried. This is to add a little bit of like maybe not politically correct kind of language, but is I just hated where I was at
Yeah.
times in life. So I was willing to try anything to just be not here.
Been there.
and
Been
and
there.
that for me was often enough of a drive to get something started.
Yeah.
And then as I would start to see results, I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is something I think, maybe this is the right thing that I'm actually seeing some changes. But what got me started was just I simply knew doing the same thing was only going to get me the same thing.
True.
Yeah. So at one point, you said you didn't like the way your body looked after
Mm.
CrossFit.
Mm.
And that would be an interesting perspective to have is, okay, I'm familiar with what I've done in the past, but it hasn't led to the body that I want. How did you decide to do bodybuilding? Like, how did you decide to move
Mm.
into and risk trying something new?
Oh boy. Um, a, a lot of things. Um, I heard a couple different questions in that. So the initial pivot to bodybuilding, like why bodybuilding,
Yeah.
was my years of subscription to Oxygen magazine and saying one day I'm going to look like those women. I I was teased like by my dance instructors
Mm.
and peers for how like muscular I was. I wasn't a waif, well aware I wasn't a waif. Um, and I thought, man, I wish I could like do something with this muscle. But, if I do something like that, that's unattainable, right? Like I didn't have family that modeled it and it seemed far out of reach, or I had to have like the perfect conditions to be able to do it. And that that was kind of crappy, but it was in the back of my mind from like being 14.
Yeah.
And so it always stayed there. And then after CrossFit, I oh, so many things. Oh yeah, like when I'm thinking back, oh yeah, when I had the tumor in my
Yeah.
throat.
Yeah.
Um and initially brought on or not brought on, but I noticed it when I couldn't drop under a clean. Like my reaction time was getting slower enough to being the data person, like this isn't normal.
Mhm.
And I had a student when I was teaching AP Bio use the patellar tendon reflex hammer on my knee at the desk because I was teaching anatomy and physiology and I didn't have a reflex. I went, "Oh, this is bad.
Yeah. That's
This
not
is
right. Yeah.
this is bad." So I did have a tumor, and also with that tumor, I had this, like, insatiable, like, appetite, and at the same time, I was falling asleep by 4, and I couldn't stay awake. Very, very morbid thoughts. And all of this I say all of this because when I had started CrossFit and I was feeling really good, then things started to slow down, and I started to gain weight, and I was de depressed, and I was doing things that normally would not have been a practice, and I ended up just feeling really heavy and kind of stocky, and, like, you couldn't have paid me to put on a bathing suit to
Um,
go anywhere. Not that I was going to, but just knowing that I wouldn't even feel comfortable doing that,
yeah.
I said, "Something has to change," and, like we were just saying, I'm doing the same thing and I'm not getting a different result. And so it was one of those moments because I was doing CrossFit and eating paleo, but not eating right or the right way, or I didn't look like the competitor leanness with abs and shreds. Like, I just didn't look like that.
Yeah.
And my really, really didn't like how my hips and my upper glutes looked, and my torso felt really thick. And so I just thought I was relegated to this body shape that was just awful. And so, you pair dance and the hip training and add on CrossFit with body mechanics that don't work well with CrossFit, and all of a sudden you're just this weird shape.
Yeah.
And I said, let's just see if I can make the most out of what I have and do something completely different. And I think a couple people told me I couldn't do it,
Yeah.
and clearly I had to prove them wrong.
Yes, that
So,
is an extra motivator. You always have
yeah.
intrinsic motivation, but that is a nice extrinsic motivator as well.
Yes. Yeah, so there were a lot of factors that got me to a place where I didn't like the way I looked or the weight I put on just from my path to that point, my combination of my background and training and diet and health issues
Yeah.
that then led me to, wow, I feel really terrible about myself. I don't feel confident. Something has to change.
Mhm.
And never did bodybuilding before. Clearly, those people can get shredded and have like shape themselves. And that was a journey, a whole other type of journey in itself. But I was glad I did it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you've been able to absolutely change your shape. For
Mhm.
your 40th, we did a photo shoot out in Los Angeles.
Yeah, we
Yeah. So, how was
did.
that experience for you?
I was amazing.
Yes.
So I was so excited to turn 40. I also love being in my 40s,
Yeah.
but I was so excited to turn 40, mainly because I felt like I've been 40 since I was 14. So, finally growing into it.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and I was in a really good place. I had you. We had just bought our home.
Uh-huh.
I was accepted and doing well into an M7 to get my MBA.
Yes.
I didn't like how I looked, again, because of another bout of life that led to that state. And I said, I am not going into my 40s looking like this.
Mhm.
I will not. This isn't me. I haven't felt like me in a very long time. This isn't who I am. And stuck to it. And it was really uncomfortable at first because you realize how out of shape you've gotten.
Yeah.
Um, like, I felt like I let myself go. Someone might not say I let myself go, but I
No,
felt
you
like
looked
I did.
amazing. I mean, I've always thought you were beautiful.
Love goggles.
That's just true.
Um, yeah. And I loved the way I ended up looking, and I knew it was gonna be kind of expensive to do the shoot before the show, but I thought, what a cool way to ring in 40
Yeah.
was to be in wildlife in LA naked.
Yes.
Someone is taking a photo of my ass on the side of the road. Not something I thought I'd be doing, but it turned out really well.
Oh,
They were really good photos.
amazing. Yeah, at
And I
40 years
can,
old, the best shape of your life. Yeah.
the best shape of my life at 40. The best. Healthiest I had been. Just wild.
Yeah.
So it was quite the way to ring in 40, and really happy for that. 'Cause like, you got one chance to ring in 40.
Hmm.
So are you gonna bust your ass and do it or no? So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I was.
I think it's
Mhm.
interesting getting to see your journey, firsthand, but even in just what you've shared through this podcast so far,
Mm,
you've been at a few places in life where it was slowly creeping to a place you weren't happy with.
mm,
You then made a decision to make a change, and then you followed up and you made the change. So, leading into making that decision,
mm,
how do you navigate the negative thoughts of, like, I really don't like the way I feel, I don't like the way I look, and being able to switch those thoughts to, I believe in myself that I can change that.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
How do I handle and, like, grapple with the negative thoughts to then find the motivation? Is that,
Yeah,
like,
like
question?
the proactiveness in the sense of
Mm,
a lot of people will, and myself included, like I've found myself in places I was not happy with.
mm,
Then you just make this, like, it seems like to outside people, you just flip a switch one day and all of a sudden you're making meals when you weren't previously prepping meals. You're now scheduling and
mm,
making time for exercise when you weren't doing that before. And even
mm,
taking those actions requires, in some sense, some driving, deciding factor in your mind that says, okay, I'm not going to be happy if I don't do this. So I need to do this.
mm.
So how did we all of a sudden just flip that switch when people, that's what it looks like to the external. But for you internally, is that building for months and months? Or do you literally
It
just wake up one day and you're like, this is bullshit. I don't like this. I'm making a change.
it it depends,
Yeah.
and it's a cruddy answer,
That's fun. Let's
but
talk through it.
it does depend, and I think it it may boil down to either a type of person or a mindset shift that, that anything worth having requires work.
Mm,
Like, anything worth having requires work,
yes.
and just recognizing that. I I'm an introvert. I was very shy growing up and very self-conscious, and I didn't want to be meek and quiet and nervous, just going about life that way.
Yeah.
And so I made the decision that I was going to do uncomfortable things
Mm,
and just see what happens, right? It's going back to, I'm a scientist and I'm going to experiment and see what happens. And so when it came time to student teach, I either had the cushiest, like, best high school in Pennsylvania that was, like, hard to get placed at. It would be like the equivalent of getting, your residency at Harvard.
oh, yeah.
And so I had this easy, like, ticket to do that, um, in my placement, and the school made a mistake because I also got placed at an engineering high school in West Philly,
Yes.
and I mean, you know, very different.
Yeah.
And I went to the office to say, "Which one do I do?
Yeah.
Clearly, this doesn't happen. Like, why did this happen?" And they said, "Yeah, that doesn't happen. That's weird. You can choose."
Yeah.
So I thought about it overnight, and I chose the one that scared me, which was West Philly, and I did it, and I loved it.
Yes.
Um, and so it was that point where I decide I'm just going to do things that scare me, and not like jump off a bridge and bungee jump scare me, but
Yeah.
like really long tasks. Like a year-long commitment scary, I mean, not to say that, 2 hours being scared crapless is, like, bad, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about, like, the major life decisions, the fork in the road that is scary type of
Yes.
decisions.
Yeah.
And thinking like that and knowing that helps. And so I had, you know, 10, 12, 15 years thinking like that and keeping that in the back of my mind anytime I made a decision. Um, I think too, it isn't overnight. To your point, it could look like it was overnight,
Mhm.
but like firsthand, you knew I was uncomfortable with how I looked for like 4 years.
Yeah.
And so I just knew that that goal, or I know the work it takes to get that, isn't a priority now. It can't be.
Yeah.
It can't it doesn't it's not responsible for that to be a priority now. It doesn't make sense to be a priority at the moment, whether it's time, you know, financial, what have you. And it really was just like this one day where you think about it, you think about it, you think about it. And it was because I said, I'm so tired of, like, if we were to do, when we did podcasts or tell stories and tell my background, like, I'm so tired of it being like, I did this show this many years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that to be my legacy of like, I did this once and I'm awesome. And I want that to be part of me. And that's why it was part of the I'm so tired of talking about this being something I did in the past once, and I learned a lot from it, and I sure as hell learned a lot from
Yeah.
it. Um, and I just realized one day I didn't want that anymore, or I didn't want to be that, or I didn't want to go into 40 like that. Um, so I guess you could say it was a little bit of a it was not a maybe not a switch. The straw that broke the camel's back is more like it, because
Yeah.
it was just building and building and building.
Mhm.
On top of that, I have, like, a little bit of spite in me. Uh, so I have a streak I'm not necessarily proud of, and I curb it a lot all the time, I guess I should say. But I w I spent a lot of time listening to people complaining about they don't have time to work out, or they can't eat right, or
Mhm.
nothing works, or I stress eat. And yeah, I've been there. So I feel like I can say it's a crutch, whatever, or either admit it's a crutch or admit it's not the season for you.
Yeah.
Just don't say it's not possible.
Mhm.
And it was getting so infuriating for me to listen to this, that that also contributed to, well, fine, if it's so hard for someone to lose 5 pounds, I'm going to go from not training in 5 years to competing on stage
Yeah.
while in grad school,
Yeah.
to say, tell me it's impossible.
Mhm.
I dare you."
Um,
So, a little bit of that spite in it. But I really hoped it would also serve as a motivator,
mhm.
right? Like, it's not just to say, you know, "Oh, so you say it's totally impossible? Okay." You know,
Yeah.
but to realize maybe it helps someone say, "Oh my gosh, all of these things are happening, and she still could do that."
Yes.
Maybe it motivated someone. I don't know.
Well, yeah, like, I think it's
I hope
not
so.
like a "screw you, I'm better than you." It's
Yeah.
like, "I hear what you're saying, let me show you that you can actually do it." So, when you approach it, you're approaching it as in, "I wanna prove that it can be done,"
Right.
and hopefully then somebody can see that, and then they look at the excuses, the things they're facing, the challenges they're facing, and say,
Mhm.
maybe that I can overcome this. Maybe I can make a change even though this is in my way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even part of that, who's to say I wasn't falling into that trap too? My
It's
job is demanding.
yeah.
I'm stressed all the time. I'm I have wicked imposter syndrome
Mm,
at one of the best schools in the world.
yes.
And of course it would be easy to say I'm just too stressed. I have a lot going on.
Mhm,
And again, it's, well, it would be really scary to try and do that and fit that in.
mhm.
so I'm going to do it. Like, that's just how I am.
I love that you've trained yourself to sense that. And when
Mhm.
I sense that this seems overwhelming or scary, I'm going to go towards it, not away from it.
Yes.
Yeah, and you've
Yep.
built a lifetime of evidence.
Yeah,
You started doing that when you were
leaving
16.
teaching, leaving the classroom,
Yeah, exactly.
uh, changing lines of business at work, totally up and changing a direction I was going. Just it's been that's become the norm, and our life is completely different
Yes.
because we did it,
Mhm.
and when I think about where I was when I turned 30,
Oh, yeah.
which, by the way, I was living out of my car.
Yep.
So if I look at where I was when I turned 30 versus where I was when I turned 40,
Yeah.
oh my god. And it was just every single year I was doing something that was scary. Every single year. And multiple times a year, if I'm honest.
Well,
Um, and so when you decide to be someone, or you decide what I was born into doesn't predetermine how I'm going to end up. It doesn't predetermine how I am. I want to be different than what I see around me, so I am going to do these things.
mhm.
And you do it enough and it becomes you. It's no longer you trying to be someone that does these things. That's now who you are.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool shift when that happens.
Yeah. There's a phrase that it's common, but I like to think of it a little bit different. They have
Mm,
the phrase like "fake it till you make it,"
mm,
and it's not that you're faking it. That's the part that I don't like about that phrase is when somebody shifts their habits from the person they used to be to the person they want to be. At first, it does feel quote unquote fake because this isn't what you used to do, so it doesn't feel like you. But
mhm,
in that transition, you're redefining who you are and you're now setting a new set of standards. So you do become that new person. In that transition of this is what I used to do to now this is who I'm going to be,
mhm.
that can be quite a challenging transition for people because often what we used to do is easier. It's much easier
Yeah.
than how we kind of need to do the actions that progress us and grow us forward. Yeah.
Mhm,
I think one of the things when you were talking about kind of how you make that switch is there's a lot of things that build up and then you hit like this tipping point and that like makes you flip that switch that makes you make that choice to then
mhm,
start making those changes. And I think what coincides with that is often some change of life situation.
mm,
Is now I have this extra thing pushing me, or I made a job transition. So now I have a new schedule. Why don't I just put in getting my meals in place as part of this new schedule?
mhm,
So there's that tipping point component. And then there's also the changing of life when things around us change or opportunities change. It's a good time to kind of redefine yourself and create new habits.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's funny that the phrase "fake it till you make it," I don't like the second half of the
Oh,
phrase
this is fun. Yeah.
because I don't think you ever make it, right? Like, at least to me, it's fake it till you make it to the next level, and
Yes.
then you continue. And you realize everyone's always just winging it.
Hmm.
Nobody knows. So a lot of people are just simply faking it every day, and I don't think it's much faking it as it is figure it out until you make it to the next level. Like, there's
Yeah.
bits and pieces to change,
Yeah, I think it's
but
awesome. Like you're hitting the nail on the head in the sense of there doesn't really become a point where you've made it in the sense that it's now easy. There's
mm,
always struggles, there's always challenges. You're just struggling and being challenged in new things that progress you and grow you rather
yeah.
than feeling the stresses and struggles of things that are kind of regressing and taking away the quality of your life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're someone that believes, I don't remember where I heard the term first, mastery is an asymptote. Was that in a Gladwell book? Do you remember? I don't know.
Uh,
But
likely.
mastery is an
Yeah.
asymptote, meaning like you never actually
Yeah.
reach it. It never touches. You never get to mastery because there's always more to
Yes.
learn. And it that too, I feel like it's either a mindset or not. Maybe. I'd love to know if somebody is watching this and they disagree. I would love to know
Yeah.
what
Put
their
it in the comment
thoughts are.
section for wherever you're listening or
Yeah.
watching this. Yes.
Because clearly the people that are like the best in the world at fill in the blank, they have mastered their craft. Does it mean they don't learn anything new at that point? No.
Mhm.
And so it's that piece that's really neat, to realize.
Yeah.
Um, if that's motivating for you, it could absolutely terrify you, but it
Ah,
could be motivating.
I think to me, it's motivating in the sense that if somebody's feeling as though, man, every day is a struggle, yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's the answer. The answer is yes. When you look at, like, we're fortunate to work with some of the best in the world. Like, we had an athlete just this weekend set a world record in powerlifting,
That's awesome.
and they have struggles all the time. Like, and we work with them, we talk through those struggles with them. But what they're struggling at is more of the nuances and the finer details. But there's still struggles to that.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
everybody has
All
struggles every
relative.
day. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's the thing is everybody who wants to continue to progress, there's always something to continue to refine. There's always going to be something you're wanting to master and get more consistent with. So that sense of, like you said, fake it till you make it. There's never a sense of I made it to where I'm done and now everything's easy. I think that's part of the falsity, if that's a word, I think, of that statement
It
is
is now.
it is now, yes. Is people think, okay, I'll put in this big effort and then it's going to get easy. It's like, no, like you put in a big effort, you then become more familiar with how to accomplish that effort every day, but it still requires effort.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
And depending on the day,
Yes.
the effort can look totally different
Yeah.
because someone could hear this discussion and be like, that's all very, you know, idealistic. Um, you don't go at it 100% every day.
No.
One of our favorite phrases, right, is if you only had 25% to give that day and you gave 25%, you gave it 100.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
So it's simply just doing the best you can and doing it in a way that you can sleep at night,
Yeah.
more or
Do
less.
do the best you have.
Yeah, do the best you have.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Rather than do the best you can, do the
Hmm.
best you have.
Yeah. Do the best you have.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I think you've done a wonderful job of that, through your whole life. And like we've said, it's been a lifetime of evidence, starting when you're young, starting with small things, then it grows and grows and grows, and eventually you can accomplish what is really big, fun, cool things when you get a chance to kind of step outside of them and look back at them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you look back and you reflect on all of these other things, and then you go, "Wow, I'm really tired."
That's very true. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you balance when's the right time to push into something uncomfortable or something that scares you versus
Mm.
when do I need to actually maybe not do that and take care of myself and recharge? Like, do you ever have a certainty of knowing?
Hmm. Ooh. It At first, my first instinct to respond to that would be I would have had to decide I've reached a breaking point.
Um,
Um, or, that breaking point comes at a time where you've had enough and you're motivated to do it.
Okay.
If you're not motivated to do it and you're on your way to reaching a threshold, maybe that motivates some people to do it. So, if there's a breaking point or things start to fall apart and they, you know, crawl into a hole and don't do anything, maybe they're the ones that need to before there's a crescendo. So to me, when I think back, it's I was either uncomfortable or unhappy for greater than, I would say, probably great at or greater than 2 years
Mm,
before the switch flipped
yeah.
and the breaking point was reached.
Yeah.
Because I stay in a time, or if I'm uncomfortable, no, not uncomfortable in the way we've been talking about it, so I'll find a different word. If I'm unsatisfied where I am in life, I will, again, it all goes back to being a scientific thinker.
Uh-huh.
I will try something and see if that improves, and then try another thing and see if it improves, but the things I'm trying are comfortable. So it's, maybe let's try a different approach. Let's do this thing. Let's do these small acts. So I will be, like, just to say, unhappy
Well,
for a year plus. I will try little things to try and make it better. If I get if I reach a threshold where I'm tired of trying things that don't work, that's the tipping point, and then I am certain to make a change.
that's very good. Yeah.
And I've never put words to that before, so this is really interesting to think through.
Mhm.
But if I think back over patterns, it's, I was unhappy for a while and I tried a lot of things because I also want to know I gave what I had
Mm,
whenever I could. And so I think, I don't remember if your question is like, how do you reach a confidence, or how do you know how do you reach confidence in doing it?
yeah, in a sense of how do you know if it's the right time to go into the uncomfortable? And I think what you're hitting on is
Mhm.
you don't go into it with an all or nothing type approach or I'm going to change everything at once. It's I'm going to try a small thing. Did it work? I'm going to try a small thing. Did it work?
Mhm.
And maybe the small things start to add up. They build momentum and then you take advantage of that momentum and you take off running.
Mhm.
Or the small things don't work, they don't work, they don't work, and then you're finally like, screw the small things. I have this desire to continue to try, but the small things aren't working, so let me try a big thing.
Yeah, it's the latter.
Yeah.
It's that second one.
Okay.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah,
Good
so I think that can
differentiation.
be a place like I've found, like we've both been through those types of situations where you're just really unhappy and you want to make a change, but when you think of the totality of what all could be changed or what quote unquote should be, if you look at trying to switch your life from somebody who doesn't work out to all of a sudden I'm going to work out every day for an hour every day. Those big changes can seem daunting and they'll often hold somebody back from even trying anything.
Right.
Yeah. So starting with some small things can sometimes people don't feel like it's worthwhile. But if you have a desire to put in an effort, but you don't know if you have enough to put in a big effort, why the hell wouldn't you at least put in a small effort?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's, it's interesting, and then I think there's some point that blends all that we've been discussing, because if that's become a person you now are, or
Mm,
you're in it and trying to be this person that, I want to be someone that is okay to take a risk, a calculated risk.
yeah.
And when you know that it does take mental capacity and a lot of discomfort to make those big changes or to take that risk and make a shift and then feel like you're starting over, you also need to be, like, ready for that.
Mm.
So I feel like one thing I haven't addressed is I'm just so sick and tired of it, I'm going to flip the switch and do this thing. For me, it might go without saying that to get to that point, my mind is then ready to just do whatever it takes.
Oh.
There are times where I'm so sick of this or I don't like this, but I also have to recognize, and I have recognized that now isn't the time mentally. I can't do that because that's not taking a not the priority of my mental space at the moment. I have to wait it out.
Mhm.
I still think that explanation falls into the it's a small step until you just finally had enough and flip the switch. So the mental space and acuity you need to have for some of those big changes does need to be a factor,
Mhm.
and it's okay also to say, now isn't the time. It's also why 2024 was the tipping point for me to do a show and not 2023. Clearly, like, it was bothering me for 3 plus years. It wasn't the time, you know, that's
Mhm.
okay. That was the time where I was trying to get into school, and that was the focus, and that's okay because that is a really big change also.
Yeah.
Um, so that's actually unique. It's maybe you wanna make many changes and you really just have to start with one big one. What makes sense to do first? What not necessarily what's easiest first, but what makes sense to do first,
Yeah.
given how things could play out.
Yeah. Like, will the efforts towards this, I know they're gonna be hard, but are they going to be
Yeah.
beneficial? Do I even have a chance for success right now?
Yeah, you can say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that can be very hard to decide on your own. So it's helpful to have someone to talk to, whether it's a spouse, a friend. If it's some kind of sport, you get a coach, or just say, "Hey, this is where I'm at. What do you think?"
Mm.
You can ask ChatGPT. So I really like using ChatGPT for a bunch of conversational things.
That's
So
the
it's
best.
fun. Yes.
It's awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think that's helpful in the sense of also just recognizing you're not alone. You can reference videos, people, books, resources to see if this is where I'm at. Does this make sense? Or like something I often think of is, am I being lazy, or am I being too nice to myself? If am I not pushing hard enough? And I might look at something and say, man, maybe I should do this. And then I would take a bigger picture, maybe ask ChatGPT, ask some friends, and they're like, dude, you're doing fine. Like, you don't need to go into that yet. you know, and that can help.
Mhm.
Like, I know for myself, one of the things I do, I don't even have it really structured. I just get this itch, at least once, probably about every 8 to 10 weeks in training, where I just wonder, like, am I pushing as hard as I should? Because we talked about how it's difficult in bodybuilding type training. There's an effort that's optimal, and then there's what you're capable of.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
always a little nervous if what I'm thinking is optimal, did that start to get a little too easy since I've been growing these last like 8 to 10 weeks.
Yep.
So I have
Yep.
a day every now and then where I'll just do something crazy. I'll do an extra, like, multiple drop set, rest, pause, cluster
Yep.
sets. I'll just do something goofy in training where I just want to see where's the capacity of what I've been doing versus what I'm capable of. Is that gap still about the same, or have I been
Mm.
taking it a little too easy?
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's nice to have
That's
those
a
self tests.
it I was just gonna just say that the self-test, that's it it always brings me back to, like, the CrossFit principle of when you're training and then you do a hero WOD and check your time, check your progress. I think that's perfectly fine to do. It makes sense. I do something similar. I don't know if it's like an every 10 or 12 week, if I'm even aware of that,
Mhm.
but I know I check in. I mean, I'm my own worst critic, but that's beside the point. So, um, but I would say the same. Otherwise, how do you know you're really growing?
Yeah.
Um, so that's interesting.
How do you have any ways you check in, like, that aren't exercise and fitness related? Like, how do you check in on other
Yeah.
areas of your life?
Yeah. Um, love that. And is a whole other tangent probably, but the mental health side of things
Yeah.
where you can when you've and I don't know if mindfulness is the right word because I feel like mindfulness is used more in like this meditative type
Mm.
state. And I may maybe I just mean self-awareness of I've had enough of these experiences where I know I will feel this certain way for probably 2 straight days or 48
Mhm.
hours. And or I say something, I feel like I said something stupid in a meeting and I kick myself for 2, 3 weeks
Yeah.
that I said something stupid that probably no one thought about past that meeting, but I still beat myself up over it. Um, and so it's when you recognize and check in how you're feeling, why you're feeling a certain way, where you just try to stop and like process it and think about it. It's realizing oh, wow, I had this feeling, but for far less. Or,
Mm.
oh, I realized all of a sudden that I haven't been kicking myself for something I said in like 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's the recognition or the awareness of your like how you speak to yourself practice
Very true.
or the level of anxiety you have, the level of fear you have. Um, so that is certainly the check-in at least that I do because I mean your job every day you do need to check your your strength training or aesthetic training. Am I still making progress on my way to this goal where my goal is very mental at the moment.
Mhm.
And so my check-in is how am I talking to myself? Just to oversimplify it, how am I talking to myself
Yeah.
lately? Um, and it's a practice now that is habitual, but it used to not be, and it was very intentional and clunky and journaling or uncomfortable. And you just, with that, it takes practice.
Mhm.
But my check-ins more or less now is mental, not I'm gonna go run a mile with our dog and see
Yeah.
what my time is. Like, no.
Yes.
So, um, but yeah, it's a lot of like you and I love our conversations because
Yes.
I can sit down and say, wow, I'm really feeling this certain way. And I could feel that it would very easily go this direction if I fed it,
Mhm.
if I gave it space in my head, if I let it take me this way. I really don't want it to. Why do I feel like I know I don't want it to, but I'm scared it might? Like we go into those conversations, which I love
Yeah.
because it's trying to get in your own head or get in your partner's head to figure out how are they thinking? Why is that coming up?
Mm.
Why is it uncomfortable? Why does it stand out? And recently, as I'm thinking out loud and saying this, I don't want to be that type of person. I don't want to be a bitter person.
Yeah.
I don't I don't want to be bitter. I don't want to hold on to negativity. I don't I don't want to be that. I don't want to do that. And I think human nature is the opposite. Like, it would be very easy to
Yes.
stay bitter and be in a certain place. And so it's saying, "Wow, this is uncomfortable because I haven't had these feelings in a very long time. They're surfacing, and I have to be very mindful to not feed it
Yeah.
because this isn't how I wanna be." But I don't completely ignore it, and it's processing that and asking yourself why and getting to the root of it and really trying to figure it out so you can grow through it and not have it take over. Um, so it's really that also is a check-in, really. A check-in can be something that just, "Oh, wow, that's new," or "That hasn't surfaced in a while, what's happening?"
Yeah.
And trying to work through that. Um, and I realize if I had to oversimplify what that is, it's, "I don't wanna be this person.
Yeah.
So let me just figure this out and really work through going a different direction because it's not going to serve me any other way."
Mhm.
Um, and those conversations are interesting. I would love to know how you feel about them
Oh,
because
yeah. They're you and I've talked about it. Is we're able to think about how we think,
yes.
and if that is more common than what I realize, I'm unaware of it because it doesn't
Let
come up
us know in the
very
comments
often. Yes.
because do you think are you someone that thinks about how you think?
Yes. And
I am
oh,
truly curious. I want to know
yeah.
because we do that a lot.
Hmm. Yeah. And we consume a lot of information. And I do
Mm,
truly believe that that helps. Is we listen to a lot of podcasts, audiobooks, read books. Just we're always wanting to better our best. And we know that in order to improve any area of life, it starts between your ears. It kind of starts with what's going on in your head.
yeah.
And the more that we can understand how what we think influences how we act, and then how we act influences how the world responds, it then just makes sense that I need to focus on the way I think and continue to refine that.
Mhm.
And you and I enjoy
And
that. We love that process.
we do love that. And right now, like, just the climate everyone
Mm.
is in is it's, like, just the other day, I sent you a text and I said, "Wow, I could really understand how people just get bitter."
Mhm.
I could really see that they just lose trust, lose faith, flip a switch, not try and push through it.
Yeah.
It's just easier. I'm angry, I'm mad, I'm like, that is very easy.
Yeah.
It could be very easy to just stay where that's comfortable because it hurts to be disappointed. It's awful to be disappointed.
Mhm.
Um, so if you don't expect anything or you don't have high standards, look at that magic. You're never disappointed.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, that it's interesting that that was either yesterday or 2 days ago where I
Mhm.
said I can really understand how people just get bitter and stay
Yeah.
there.
It's tough. You and I have learned that if you do that, then you're stuck where you are because those aren't progressive feelings, those aren't progressive thoughts, actions.
Right.
So, in
Right.
order for us to continue to grow and change, we do want to understand not only how other people think and how their actions influence us, but how we think and how our actions influence us and others. It's just trying to identify, for me to continue to improve, what do I have control over,
Yeah.
and how can I continue to influence that control to get the result that I want. Mhm.
And I I feel like I need to caveat nearly everything I say,
Oh, you're fine. Yeah.
but I'm not going to. But this one, I will say that it it's also okay to have all those feelings, right? Like, it's okay to be in it.
Yeah. Like,
It's
yeah,
just
we get angry.
being mindful
Mhm.
of am I in this too long? Am I
Yes.
okay with this?
Yeah.
Is this who I wanna be? How does this feel? Does this feel icky, or does this just feel uncomfortable?
Mhm.
Um, and I would just, love to know how people feel. Um, I just wanna say that if I'm uncomfortable feeling a certain way and I want to grow out of it or grow through it and not get stuck, because I am very aware how it could be so easy,
Uh-huh.
then I just simply wanna caveat that, like, having all of the feelings right now, totally fine,
Oh,
totally reasonable
yeah, and you would
from
never
a
be able to.
perspective of,
Yeah.
like, change and pivots and tipping points. That's
Yeah.
just me.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not that you try to eliminate emotion, that's not our goal. Our goal is to say, if I notice that X always makes me mad, and I don't like the feeling of being mad, when X
Yeah.
happens, how can I change the way I focus on it, think of it, frame it to change my response? That way I don't get angry anymore because I don't like that feeling.
Yep.
Yeah. So we know, like, I know I'm angry. Why am I angry? And then what can I control to change that response? Because if it's someone else making me angry, I don't want to continue to get angry until they change because they're not the ones getting angry. They don't have any, like, maybe they don't have any desire to change. It
Mhm.
doesn't negatively impact them, it negatively impacts me.
It's the you don't forgive people for them, you forgive people for you.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a similar principle,
Yeah.
sounds like.
That's my goal with it is the process of thinking how I think, the point of it isn't to ever reach this like utopia where, I'm never bothered by anything. That's never going to happen. I get mad about everything.
I mean, I think you and I get bothered all the time, we
Yeah.
just have learned to control that.
Yeah. We just learn, okay, well, me being mad and then change, like, I just experience the anger and then I go back to doing everything the same. I'm going to
Yeah,
continue to experience this anger and I'm going to continue to get the same.
yeah.
So if I don't like the anger, how can I influence that and change it? That's all we look
Mhm.
to do is I don't want to never get angry. That's not even the goal because it's never going to happen
Yeah,
and that's impossible.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just want to
and
understand my anger.
to to that point too, this could go on forever,
Yeah.
but to realize there were days, weeks, weekends where I just felt a certain way, and realizing I could change it if I was okay to try and be uncomfortable
Mm,
and put myself in a different situation. Like, if putting myself in a certain situation was making me feel awful a lot of the time,
right.
it's realizing I could take myself out of the situation less and maybe feel better.
Yeah.
So, is is that person the problem, or, like, am I the problem in this situation? And it's that person isn't going to change, so I'm just going to interact with it less, because I also realize if I give myself time and space, and I always say the term of, like, fill your cup.
Yeah.
If I give myself that space and time, then interactions can be better. I'm not always on edge because I'm always just feeling a certain way,
Mhm.
and, that's a whole other podcast because that could go either way.
Yeah.
Um, but that's another one of those moments where, completely unrelated to fitness or training, but realizing that to start to change, to not like how I was feeling, is I need to exist on different terms, and I need to have different boundaries, and I need to really let myself be very uncomfortable
Mhm.
and just consistently work through it. Like, that is really, really hard. And it's like, well, why am I doing it to myself? And so to grow through that, I just got really deep. But,
Sure.
like you were saying, um, your examples you were giving made me think of that it's just one other way of doing something that scares you
Yes.
simply because it's different than the norm,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
believing it could maybe be different.
Yeah. And I think that's something like I remind myself is if I do the same, I'm going to get the same. If I want different, I also have to be willing to risk different. Maybe I don't know what the difference going to be,
Mhm.
but I have to be willing to risk it if I want to get out of the same.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
often people, it makes sense like, oh, if you do the same, you get the same. If you do different, things get better. No, if you do different, they just get different. It might not get better. It might not get worse. It might just be a different uncomfortable, but you have to be willing to risk different. And I think that's what I remind myself of is if I don't like this like as is, if I don't like this same, I have to do something different. I don't know what that's going to get me. I just know at least it's going to get me out of here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's something I remind myself is doing different doesn't mean it's going to get better. It just means it's different.
Yeah, and you just try different things until maybe it does get better.
Yeah. You try difference until it gets better. Yes.
That's
Hmm.
fantastic.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I I wonder what it is, though. I mean, really, that because we started the conversation with, "It's just how I am,"
mhm.
and to say, "I don't wanna be that way," or, "I don't wanna be a type of person," fill in the blank, and I don't know that that was learned. I don't know where it comes from,
Mhm.
um, if it's, you know, genetic over experience, um, but it's interesting
Yeah, the
because
nature
I think
versus nurture debate. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would be very different if I didn't constantly challenge myself or say, "I don't wanna be XYZ way,"
Yeah.
or, "I wanna be this way." I'm trying to think now that I say that, have I spent most of my life saying, "I wanna be a certain way," or, "I don't wanna be a certain way?"
Oh, that's fun. Were you running from or
Am I
walking
going
towards?
away from something or am I going towards something?
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
Hmm. Let's have to think about that
It's a fun
because now
thought.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Like,
Yeah.
for me, the
Um,
main driver, still like I'm 42, I think. Can't do math anymore.
you're
But
42.
yeah, 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 42 is I started, I'd say like my first significant change in life was on my 15th birthday. And that change was a running away from who I used to be change. I didn't want to be that person anymore.
Yeah.
And even at 42, I know I'm light years away from who that person was. That person is a different human, but I still remember feeling unhappy, feeling uncomfortable, feeling lack of control. I don't like those. I don't like those feelings and I can still imagine those feelings.
Mm,
And a day where I might miss a workout, it's like, oh, I'm gonna have that feeling again. Or a day if I didn't track my food or I didn't eat the right way, I'm gonna have those feelings again. I don't want those feelings. So a large part of my motivation is running away from that past feeling. But then I do
yeah.
have this other part of me that's excited about what could be.
Mhm.
If I do get
And
this workout in, how much bigger muscles could I be? Could I be leaner? Am I going to be stronger? If I get this meal in, how much different can I look? So it's almost like you have both components.
yeah, and I got excited because it's you mentioned an age when, like, that's your most impressionable.
Mhm.
So, completely reasonable, like, that's the default because that's, like, restore factory setting. It would go back to like 15, 16-year-old
Yeah.
because I still feel like the over fat 16-year-old that I was, and it's interesting. Or I feel um emotionally not the age I am. Or you go back to like factory setting, right?
Yeah.
And that's just I don't know at what point how old we have to get that that stops happening.
Yeah.
Um, but that's interesting that you mentioned that.
Yeah. It's fun. Like
Yeah.
for both of us, we can look back to there was a point in time that kind of represents it and maybe we'll find a better way of saying it as we talk, but we go back
Mhm.
to a point in time where I didn't like that version of myself and I don't want to ever be that again.
Mm.
And for me, it was on that day. It was 15. For you, it might
Mhm.
be 16. For another person, it might be 31, 21. Maybe it happened when they were 11. But I wonder if that is common for a lot of people that are on the side we're on, where you've been making changes now, but you still can think back to this one moment in time, like you said, that factory reset where one day you woke up and said, I don't have to be this anymore.
Mm.
And you decided to actually make changes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's fascinating. It's I you hear about it. I can't even think of one very specific example, but I feel like you hear people talk about that a lot, where it's usually people that have been married really young, and they say they each become different people.
Mm.
Like they've been 4 different people throughout the course of their marriage or
Yeah.
relationship or partnership or what have you. It's they've and the term they use is a different person. Like, I've been 3 different people, 4
Yeah.
different people, and it's interesting that it's that strong.
Mm.
Um, so it there too is it away from something towards something, you know? I've never interviewed a couple that have said that, but I would be interested to know,
Yeah.
uh,
It would definitely be
how
very
to think about it.
fun to know, like, are people driven for some people, do they have both? Or some people mostly driven by one? It would definitely be an interesting component to explore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But we were talking about fitness. So
Well, I love this because how you think is going to lead into the actions you take towards food, towards exercise.
Mhm.
Your self-talk on how you motivate yourself to do the things that you don't normally do, but you know you should do, that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
the mental component to me is the I don't know how to word it.
That's true.
It's not that
It's
it's more
still
important. It's the foundation of everything you do. Everything you do
Yeah,
is like the foundation is how you think.
yeah, and, it's still work for me to eat enough food in a day.
Yeah, I have to remind you to eat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It it's still weird. I do it. Uh, I know I need to. I know it keeps me healthy. I know that's the right thing to do, but it's like it's constantly against the grain of 14-year-old me,
Yeah.
and, the all the Shape magazine that tells you to eat a grape and an apple,
Yes.
and to have a six-pack. None of that at all makes any sense ever.
Yeah.
But it's that, it's 90s culture,
Mhm.
and it's constantly going against that. Um, and that was, like, the foundation you I built every understanding on, and it's very uncomfortable to change that. But I look a hell of a lot better now eating more food and reminding myself to eat than I ever did when I underate or ate really oddly.
Mhm.
Um, so that, that too that mindset, you're right. The mindset is the foundation of everything, because I have to do something because I know that's what I should do,
Mhm.
or that's the right thing, or that's the right way, or that's what's best for me. But it is mental work some days.
Yeah.
Mm. Mostly autopilot now, but still some days it's hard,
Mhm.
or harder than others,
Yeah.
but I still do it, and that's the mindset part, right?
Yep. And that goes back to that the phrase that we both don't like either parts of, "Fake it till you make it." But we were saying how it's never make it where, like, it's done. There
Mhm.
there is always these little like, every day, like, some days you eat, you don't think of it much because the habit is built. Some days you do kinda have to remind yourself even of the reasons why, not only to take the action, but why do we take this action?
Mhm.
It's just understanding that that process might get easier over time, but it never becomes non-existent. That process is still always a process.
Yeah,
Mhm.
good point.
Yeah.
Very true, unfortunately.
Yeah. Bummer. Mhm. Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate the conversation of talking through the mindset component
Oh, thank you.
because it is it is extremely important for people to explore because if until they address the way they think, they'll often struggle addressing the way they act.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, it's unfortunate and scary at the same time how people are their own worst enemy,
Mhm.
um, and it is just simply wild to me, um, but you can't make changes that will, especially changes that will last, unless you change your framing and how you think,
Yeah. Mhm.
um, and not nearly enough things address that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always,
Yeah,
"Let me get a different diet." It's like, "Well, why didn't the last diet" not why didn't it work as in the parameters, but did
yeah,
why didn't our actions like, if our did our actions take place, to match what the diet asked of us? If it didn't, changing the diet isn't gonna make any difference. Why like, we have to change our actions.
mhm,
Yeah, and that's what
yeah,
you and I work with people all the time for is it's gonna be odd for us to say it since we're the ones who help them and coach them, but it's not often enough that coaches or programs will focus on the person fulfilling the diet, fulfilling the exercise program, the actions rather than the what of what to do. We started with
yes,
like the how versus the what. It's oh, we'll do these exercises. Well, that program didn't work. Oh, okay, we'll do these different exercises. And
yeah,
it's like, well,
right.
where were we even doing the first exercise? Like, did we do the doing? How do we look at that part first? Yeah, if we
Did you
did,
say, did we do the doing?
yeah, do the doing. Like, if we didn't
Yeah,
do the doing, it doesn't matter what we're supposed to do.
it's
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah, yeah, and, I don't know. I think maybe culturally it's going in that direction,
I think so for sure. Yeah.
but certainly not, like, our generation and above.
Yeah, it's gonna catch the next ones underneath, that, talking about, like, thinking about how you think is now a conversation that people will have,
Mm,
and that, I never heard of that even 10, 15 years ago, let alone
no.
longer than that. Yeah.
No,
Mhm.
no.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, well, I'm gonna wrap up, but I do wanna ask you a question that'll put you a little bit on the spot.
Super.
Okay. Um, if you had to recommend a resource, whether it's a person, a podcast, a book, anything that somebody can take this conversation and say, "Man, I wanna learn a little bit more about how I think. I wanna be a little more analytical about myself and how I'm approaching what I can control and what I can influence." Do you have a recommendation, a book, a podcast, a resource, anything that you might wanna point someone to?
Oof. Um, it's funny, I'm blanking on the name. I'd have to look up the book. Help me.
Well, if you
Does all the podcasts and the speaking classes?
oh my. Robert Greene?
No.
Um, Simon Sinek?
He yes,
Yeah,
Simon Sinek.
yeah.
I would say some of his resources,
Yeah, Start with Why or Find Your Why.
Find Your Why.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's a good one.
It's a big one.
Um, I always go to love languages, you
Oh,
know,
such a good
to
yeah,
learn.
such a good
Then you learn more about what do you need, what do you default to,
book. Uh-huh.
um, how you love others, and it just I feel like it fixes a lot or it bridges a lot.
Yeah. You can
Um,
even learn to love yourself, like how learning how you receive love
yeah.
is very
Mhm.
helpful just for your own self-talk development.
Yeah. Um, trying to think. So many of the books recently have been like business,
Yeah.
but like 15, 20 years ago is when I was doing all of the research on myself.
Uh,
Um, I'd say the Set Boundaries, Find Peace too.
oh, okay.
Nedra Tawwab,
Mhm.
is good.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, there was another boundaries book that I started many years ago and read, simple cover. So I feel I haven't read all of them, but I don't wanna say any book about boundaries, but I know there's, um, a couple of really good ones, probably highly rated on, like, New York Times bestsellers,
Yeah.
are always good to start.
Mhm.
So, yeah, learn a little something about yourself, find out more about yourself. How do you love? And realizing that setting boundaries can, um, really put you on a really totally different path.
Yes.
What
Absolutely.
about you? What would you recommend?
Oh, well, one book about understanding, like, habits and building better habits is Elastic Habits
Mm.
by Stephen Guise,
Yeah.
Guise. So he has a very good book as well called How to Be an Imperfectionist, which is how to get over, the all or nothing mindset, the being perfect mindset. I
Mhm.
think both of those books are very helpful. Your Life in Rhythm is an older book, but it's a very
Oh,
good
yeah.
book about understanding seasons of life. So we were talking about when do you know it's the right time to maybe take a big step versus a small step. So
Great example. I
yeah.
haven't
So Your Life in
heard
Rhythm would be a very good book to check out. Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking. That's fun. Yes.
Yeah. Flip it on you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so if anybody wants to reach out and get a hold of you, where can they learn more about you, or where can they get in touch with you?
Uh, C3 method
Yeah.
at Gmail.
So, yep, c3method.com. Yep.
Yep, it's probably
Mhm.
the best way to reach me,
Yep.
I think, or ask questions. Happy to help.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for being the first guest in our journey down like these mindset component podcasts.
Mm. Well, thank you.
Yeah. This is gonna be fun.
It's loaded.
Oh, it's a
I feel like
oh,
it'll
so fun.
dovetail into 2 other ones.
Yeah, I'm excited because we're probably gonna close this out and still talk about this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. You're
Yeah.
right.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for joining and thank you everybody for watching and listening.
Well, thank you.
Okay.